Seeing Jaxon Smith-Njigba go down and get pulled from the Iowa game was not fun. And as we get closer to the game against Penn State, this question comes to my mind. How should Ohio State handle Njigba's injury? We'll discuss that today on Locked On Buckeyes.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes, part of Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is a Wednesday, October 26th in the year 2022, and I'd like to thank LinkedIn Jobs for being the official college football recruiting sponsor across the Locked On College Network. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. I would also like to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. On today's episode, we will discuss why ESPN fined Ryan Day in 2019 and Stock Up, Stock Down is back. But before we get to any of that, we saw this past weekend, Jaxon Smith-Njigba returned to the football field for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and he got pulled from that same field over the weekend in the middle of the game. It looked like it was another hamstring injury. I've heard people talk about and discuss, and there had been a knee that the trainers and medical staff were evaluating, not the hamstring of Njigba. You could tell when he got pulled from the game, when he came out, something was wrong. It was very, very clear with your own two eyeballs that you were blessed with that something was wrong with Njigba, lower body-wise, when he came off the field for the final time against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Many people believe Ohio State should only save him for the game against Penn State and the game against Michigan. I have already said I actually don't believe Ohio State needs Njigba on the field against Penn State or against Michigan. He is a good player, an amazing player. But Fleming, Harrison Jr., and Abuka, they're getting the job done, and there might be records set by one of these guys this year because of how good they have been on the field. But Ohio State has something very interesting they need to do. Properly handle the injury of Njigba. How should they do that? Well, first, we might want to know about what Ryan Day is saying about Njigba and what the plan is for Njigba this week. The plan is for Njigba to play against Penn State. Now, you may say, Jay, why? Well, Ryan Day does believe, I do believe he believes this, that the plan is for Njigba to be healthy, Njigba to not have any setbacks, any minor setbacks, or any major setbacks that will derail him from playing on the field. I do believe Ryan Day believes that. Here's something that he said in regards to this very injury, quote, "We'll see. As the week goes on, we'll know more. When you come out of games like that, you got to keep evaluating and see how things go. But we'll keep figuring stuff out, and by the end of the week, we'll have a better idea," end quote. Now, that was in regards to Njigba being on a snap count or a pitch count or being limited to a certain amount of plays when he is on the field against Penn State. I think he should, but I also still believe Ryan Day and the Ohio State coaching staff should not rush Njigba back at all. Take it slow, one day at a time. Don't rush anything. Because the more you try to rush things, the more you try to push him into the field and push him out there, even if he's on a pitch count or a limit amount of plays that the Buckeyes do not want him to go over or play in that game, that can still be a bad taste in his mouth. If he gets hurt once again, that can leave a bad taste in numerous people's mouths. And the injury situation, we'll talk about more at Ohio State. It's already really interesting right now in 2022. You don't want to risk losing Njigba for the rest of the year or for the rest of his college football career due to this injury. I'm not exactly sure what the specifics of this injury over the weekend derby. It does not matter. Take it slow. As I know, and as most of us know, and people, if you don't know, I'll kind of fill you in on some things about the lower body injury, especially the hamstring. Hamstring injuries are slow to heal. Very, very slow. The moment you think you're back and ready to go, bam, that one thing, that one wrong move, that one step that just didn't go right, all of a sudden you're down or you're injured and you're hurt once again. They are slow injuries to recover from. Now, some people have already also said that Njigba, if he does not come back to Ohio State, he's going to be a first-round pick. Well, I think if he did not step on the field this year, he could be a first-round pick. But ultimately, I think NFL scouts, they're seeing, and they're like, okay, great. We saw 2021, the amazing things that he did when he was not the number one guy at Ohio State. He was a slot receiver. People could not just scheme and eyeball him and have coverage roll to his side. They also had Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson out there. So when Njigba doing his things, that's great. But he also had 2 first-round picks, top 15 picks, the top 11 picks that were on his team as well at receiver. So that's one thing. But this year is a little bit different. I think, and I do believe, I think NFL scouts and executives want to see a second year of Njigba at Ohio State. I do believe a second year of film not only is better for you going into the National Football League as a starter in college, going into the National Football League, but also it's actually better for you as a player because you get to see, hey, year 1 was great, but year 2, when people are looking at me and filming and scheming on me and having coverages roll my way, I can quickly see exactly how to handle those types of situations. So Njigba's injury is very interesting, but I find it very, very simple. If the plan for Njigba to play this week is what's in place, make sure he's ready to play. Because also, as we know with injuries, sometimes, a lot of times, when one thing is hurt, another body part or a muscle will overcompensate for the muscle that's injured or hurt, or the body part that's injured or hurt, and a muscle or bone or whatever it is that's overcompensating for the injured part of your body, that overcompensated part of your body is going to get hurt as well. And that's a lot of words in a short amount of time. Take it slow. Don't rush him back. It's the best thing for him. And honestly, it's the best thing for the Ohio State Buckeyes as well. In 2019, ESPN fined Ryan Day. Why did they do that? We'll discuss that next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's easy to create a job post, a free job post on LinkedIn Jobs. Once you do that, add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. It really is ridiculously good. We let our salsa fans tell our story, and this is what they say about ridiculously good salsa. I eat this salsa by the spoonful. My husband grabs a grocery bag and crushes the high heat. I come to the market just for the ridiculously good salsa. I hide happy, Medi Yum from my kids. The perfect tailgate food, and my favorite, I just want to drink it. There is a delicious flavor for everyone. Mellow, mild garden goodness, no heat or spice. Grandmas and kids love that one. Happy Yeti Yum, the sweet spot of salsa and our most popular flavor. And then there's high heat for those who like spice and flavor, but with a late hit, just try it. We are a local family-owned business in Westerville, and we would love to share our salsa with you. Grab some ridiculously good salsa at Whole Foods in Columbus, Cleveland, the Hills Market in Worthington, Wheelands Market, the Butcher and Grocer, Ritterberger Market at Buckeye Lake, and the Greater Gouda in Delaware. Or order online at r.goodsalsa.com. That's r.goodsalsa.com. Follow us on Instagram at Ridiculously Good Salsa to see how we use our salsa in lots of recipes. Salsa all day with Ridiculously Good Salsa. Thanks for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen today. For your second listen of the day, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your fine podcast. So in 2019, Ryan Day got fined by the worldwide leader. You might want to say, Jay, why in the world would they come after Ryan Day in that way? What infraction did Ryan Day do? Was it one of those light ones, those rules that they just did that they don't enforce, but the Ohio State broke it? It was a self-reported infraction, and then he got fined by the worldwide leader, not by the NC2A. Actually, no, it's not that way. It was something that Ryan Day was absent for a good reason. ESPN was not fond of his absence, and they fined him. Yesterday in the presser, Ryan Day talked about Mike Yurich, the Penn State offensive coordinator, who was actually on staff at Ohio State in 2019. And Ryan Day discussed a story from that year during the presser. And as I was watching it, I understood why the media members there were laughing. At first, I was like, wait, what's going on? The laughter made a whole lot of sense. So Ryan Day told a story about the award show the ESPN puts on the week after the Big Ten, the conference championship games. Ohio State just won the Big Ten Conference Championship on a Saturday. The very next day on a Sunday, they were declared in the playoff and that they'll be playing Clemson in the semifinal round of the playoff. That next Thursday, ESPN has their college football awards show where they hand out different awards that are out. The Thorpe Award, Luke Rosa Award, Maxwell Award, Doak Walker Award, all those awards that you've heard about for all these years in college football, position awards, things of that nature. Yes, that's where that award show is. ESPN hosts that award show, and they hand out the awards for those people. So ESPN expected Ryan Day to be there, but his absence got him fined. Why did he get fined? He was at an in-home visit with CJ Stroud. Yes, he was out recruiting, and there was an in-home visit with CJ Stroud at that same time that they were going to be doing the award show ceremony, and ESPN was not happy for that. He got fined for that. And I was thinking about this one very briefly, and it had a lot of time because I had some lighting issues. Wasn't able to get this episode out as quickly as I wanted to. And so the lighting issues actually allowed me to think about this a little bit more. I got no problem with this. None whatsoever. I understand Ryan Day's situation. I understand why Ryan Day made this move. And I understand that J.K. Dobbins, Chase Young, Justin Fields, those are three players I do believe that were at that award show, and they would love for their head coach to be there. But I think Ryan Day at this moment, I heard one person say this, and I agree with it. Ryan Day made a business decision. Should I be there at this award show and risk losing one of the best quarterbacks I could get in this class to come to Ohio State? Or do I go to the in-home visit, take the fine, pay said fine, and go on to live another day? It's a risky move you have to make. Life and coaching is not always easy. There are some interesting, delicate details to things and every decision that you make. And Ryan Day knew there was a price and there was a cost that he could pay, he could make. Honestly, in the press conference, he looked at Jerry Emig, the sports information director at Ohio State for assigned to football. And Jerry Emig actually, Ryan Day said, I think they find us, right, Jerry? And Jerry's like, no, they did find us. And Ryan Day was like, they find you? He's like, no, like, they find us. And Ryan Day started laughing. It was like, I think it was a wise decision in Ryan Day's own fashion. But I get it, man. I get it. In business, and Ryan Day is the leader of Ohio State football. He is the head coach. He is the CEO, and that is a business, a business that brings in a lot of money, a business that brings in a lot of elite talent. And when doing so, you have to take some risk, especially right now during the bye week. Imagine this. Imagine Ryan Day and Larry Johnson not going to see Keon Keeley, one of the best defensive ends in the class of 2023 during the bye week. Imagine they would have gone and tried to start going to the 2024 recruiting class and forsaken and forgotten about Keon Keeley. They stopped recruiting Damon Wilson, stopped recruiting Mateo Uiagalelei. Imagine them stop recruiting those guys and they go to the next class, even though those guys in the class of 2023 can assist and really help build the class of 2023 at Ohio State and make it a really good recruiting class and keep the competition and the standard high at The Ohio State University. Imagine if they made a business decision, a poor one, and said, nope, we're going to the junior class now. We're going to recruit those guys. Forget the seniors right now. Their season's almost done. Some of them are in the tournaments or some schools, they're in the playoffs, depending on what state and how the state runs their postseason. Imagine if Ryan Day and Larry Johnson said that. You, myself, John Garcia might say, what's going on at Ohio State? Why in the world are they doing that? Why in the world are they making that decision? These are things that can happen. But when you make a business decision like what Ryan Day did and said, hey, no, man, I got to recruit. I'll pay that fine. I got to go recruit. He made a business decision. I'm not mad about said business decision. I understand the business decision. And honestly, I think more coaches out there might do the same thing. Or they're already doing it. Wouldn't be shocking if other coaches were doing it, saying, I got to recruit. And in recruiting, I got to make some business decisions. And when doing so, people might not like what I do. Hey, a business decision was made. It could be a business decision that leads Ohio State to winning a national championship with C.J. Stroud as Ohio State's starting quarterback. I like it. I love it. I hope that's the outcome. But also, hey, it happens. He made a business decision. Ultimately, he got fined by the worldwide leader. I understand why Ryan Day made the decision to not go to the award show and to recruit C.J. Stroud. Stock up, stock down is back. Midway, halfway point in between the Iowa game and the Penn State game. We'll discuss where things are right now in my mind with these two categories next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. So I have a friend. My friend's name is Bob. I have a lot of friends, and I think that over the next few weeks, we'll learn more about my friends and some of the things that they do that are positive and negative, some of their issues or some of their successes in life. Well, this particular friend, Bob, has issues with excessive sweat. I've talked about my issues with excessive sweat. Bob does as well. This has been going on with Bob for a very long time, and he's been worried about the excessive sweat and his issue there. He was sweating through dress shirts. He was trying to put different products under his shirts, under his underarms, to try to help alleviate the issue and really hide the issue that he has from other people. Nothing worked until he found SweatBlock. SweatBlock changed the game for him. SweatBlock was created by a doctor to help with his own excessive sweating. It is doctor created and doctor recommended. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try SweatBlock. Save 20%. That's a lot of money you can save with promo code Locked On. That's LOCKEDON at SweatBlock.com. Once again, we all love saving money, and SweatBlock allows you to do so. When you use promo code Locked On, you will save 20% at SweatBlock.com. Also available on Amazon. Stock up, stock down. Remember how I mentioned the energy situation earlier in the show was going to come up once again in stock up, stock down. You'll realize why once we get to the third person on my stock up list. Stock up on Zach Harrison. Hey, I am somebody that I have been very happy with Zach Harrison's play this year. he continues to play better. And I do believe this past week against Iowa was his best game that he's ever played at The Ohio State University. You have to realize sometimes certain players get better at different times during their careers. Sometimes you start to peak and you start to go up trajectory-wise in year 2 or year 3. Sometimes you got to stick around to 4 or 5 years to really see how good and what your peak is going to be at the sport and at that school. We're seeing Zach Harrison play, I do believe, the best football consistently that he has ever played at The Ohio State University. Stock up. This was an easy one to start with. Stock up with and on Zach Harrison. Stock up on Noah Ruggles, the Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Year, Mr. Noah Ruggles. Stock up for him. You may say, Jay, who in the world is Noah Ruggles? You talked about him earlier in the week after the game. You bring him up once again in the middle of the week. Who in the world is Noah Ruggles? He is Ohio State's kicker. Noah Ruggles coming into this game against Iowa, he was 2 for 3 in field goals for the entire game. For the entire season. In the first quarter, Noah Ruggles kicked 3 field goals and made 3 field goals. So he did better in this game than he had the previous 6 games that Ohio State had played. And then he also added another field goal in the second quarter of the game. 4 for 4 from field goals. He made all of his extra points. Stock up for Noah Ruggles. We remember him in the game-winning field goal that he made against Utah in the Rose Bowl. And now what we're seeing is he is doing a phenomenal job of playing good football once again. Oh, wait, does he play football? Yes, he is a kicker. What's his job? To kick the ball through the uprights. He did a phenomenal job against Iowa when Ohio State's offense struggled to move the ball. Even when they had good and got the ball with favorable field position, Noah Ruggles came in to consistently put points on the board by using his right leg. Stock up on Chip Trayanum. What? Chip Trayanum? Yes, Chip Trayanum. The Arizona State running back transfer came to Ohio State. He's an Ohio native. He is playing was playing linebacker at Ohio State. T.C. Coffey, the walk-on running back at Ohio State, earlier in the year scored a touchdown. I got excited, number 28 on the team. I started cheering and rooting like he was my best friend or like he was my son. Hey, well, not so much tears, but I was excited, man. I was excited for T.C. Coffey to start and do some good things on the football field. Well, he recently went down with an injury, and going from defense to offense is Chip Trayanum, realizing top two linebacker spots are solidified with Steel Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg. That third linebacker spot was Cody Simon. You heard me last week with Trent Condon of Locked on Hawkeyes. He asked how Ohio State will combat Iowa's heavy sets, and I thought, they would just keep their two linebacker look, maybe bring in Sonny Styles and play Lathan Ransom more, and not go to the 3 linebacker set. Well, buddy, I was wrong. For the first time, I do believe all year, it was a 4-3 look from Ohio State, which really was a big reason why Ohio State was lethal on defense. Hey, they didn't show it against Wisconsin. They showed it against Iowa, and it was the perfect recipe for Iowa's offense to really play like they have played all year, which is really, really bad. But Chip Trayanum goes over to running back with T.C. Coffey going down with an injury. And how about you just being ready and willing and able to do whatever is needed for the team to be successful? Now, Dallin Hayden is not moving down to the depth chart. Chip Trayanum did put on some muscle when he moved from running back to linebacker. So he's going to be a little bit heavier, a little bit heftier than the other running backs at Ohio State. But I got no problem with that. Chip Trayanum being able to go from linebacker to running back at Ohio State mid-season, I think they might need him. Goal line situations, when you don't want to go with Mitch Rossi or Mayan Williams or don't put Trayvon Henderson there, go with Chip Trayanum, 235-pound bowling ball on the field. I cannot wait to see that at 3rd and 2. Hopefully not 4th and 2. 3rd and 2 when you're on your own 41-yard line. Stock down. 2 places. The running game. Both of these are offense, but the running game against Iowa was not up to standard. It wasn't satisfactory for we're in a grade school and you get a check mark for satisfactory or unsatisfactory. Those are the only 2 grades you get. No, not at all. It wasn't up to par. Ryan Day didn't even help the players. If Ohio State was in pistol, you knew that they were going to run the ball. Iowa knew they were going to run the ball. What I noticed a lot of Iowa safeties doing a lot of the time, they weren't even really playing the pass free snap. A lot of them, as they believe they were getting closer to the snap of the ball, two high safety look, they were coming 1, 2, sometimes 3 steps down towards the line of scrimmage prior to the snap of the ball. And you would think C.J. Stroud play action, safety's already coming down prior to the snap. Next thing you know, there's Julian Fleming right where the safeties were. In the big vacated hole. No, didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. The running game needs to get better. It can get better against Penn State, but it's still TBD, to be determined, because I don't know if the coaches are going to call the right plays and make it not predictable when Ohio State is going to run the ball. Last but not least, stock down, C.J. Stroud. I didn't want to put this down, but I wasn't pleased with his performance. I said he struggled. I've watched portions of the Minister Sports with Zach Smith, former Ohio State wide receiver coach. Zach Smith even said that C.J. Stroud struggled, and Zach Smith, who's been a college football coach, he's seen a lot of football, coached a lot of football. He knows struggles with the quarterback just like anybody else does. Stroud struggled, man. He did. I got love alliteration. Didn't know that was going to alliterate, but here we are. Stroud struggled against Iowa. I hope his struggles end. I hope he goes off against the Penn State and Indy Lions right here on a Wednesday. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can also send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. Follow me on the TikTok at jstevens07. I'm going to post some clips from this show and clips from the J. Stevens podcast over there. Try to get some interaction, try to get some traction. Go ahead, follow Jay on the TikTok as well. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen today. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your fine podcast.